Tonight we're making guava cake. It's our family's absolute favorite. It's so delicious. Um, I got this idea from Pollo Tropical. We used to have them here in Texas, but for whatever reason they all shut down. So every time I go into Florida, I have got to stop by Pollo Tropical and get a guava bar. But I did find a pretty good dupe on making these online, and I'll attach it in the description below. But you're going to start out with 2 sticks of butter, a cup of granulated sugar, 4 eggs, a tablespoon of vanilla extract, a fourth cup of milk. You're going to use 3 cups of flour, 1.5 teaspoons baking powder, a teaspoon of salt, and we're going to use 14 ounces of guava paste. And this is a 21-ounce container that I am going to use just 2/3 of, and I'm going to save the other for a guava barbecue sauce I'll be making with my fish, my salmon, another day. So I'll share that recipe as well. But I'll list this all below. Anyway, so first you want to start by softening the butter, allowing it to get to room temperature. As you can see, it's still kind of hard. I didn't let it sit out enough, but I went ahead and added the 4 eggs and I mixed that together. And you'll also want to use a baking dish. I think the recipe calls for 9 by 13, but obviously the smaller dish you use, the bigger the guava bars will be, the more thick they'll be. So you'll go ahead and start adding the wet ingredients here, and then just keep mixing it. You save the flour for the end, but right now I'm putting the sugar, the salt. I'm doing everything but the flour and the baking soda right now. And the reason I held off on the baking soda was I think that if you over mix it, it'll make your bread kind of tough. So I didn't want that to happen. And you're gonna want to turn your oven on, set it for 350, and this is gonna bake for about 45 minutes. So I'm just mixing this up, and it looks a hot mess right now. See how it's dripping like that? My goal wasn't to try to get it all smooth right at that one time. I knew I still needed to add the flour, so I'm going to do a little bit at a time to try to avoid it just flying all over the place. And then once I get that incorporated, I'm going to add a little bit more flour. This was so hard to do. It was hard to film it and get a good angle while I'm using one hand to mix and then another hand to hold the bowl. So this is what you're going to want the batter to look like, okay? And you're going to divide it into two. Let's see. I think I got one more little scoop of flour to add. So it's gonna be kind of the texture of a cross between cake batter and cookie dough. So it'll be thicker than cake batter, but a little bit thinner than cookie dough, if that makes any sense. So now I'm putting the baking powder on last. I probably should have done this before I took the mixers off because I end up just trying to stir this in, and I don't know if I stirred it in that well, but it was kind of hard at that point. But like I said, I think if you mix it too much for some reason, or maybe it was just the case with me, it ended up making the bread too dense. It was just too stiff. So here I am trying to mix it the best I can. But anyway, sorry, it's so hard doing a voiceover and trying to watch this and remember what it was I was doing at that time. Okay, so I greased my pan dish there, and you can see the batter is thick enough where you can just kind of pick it up, just eyeball it and use about half. So you're going to do one layer that you're going to spread across the bottom. And I was having such a struggle here. I had tried using a greased mixing spoon and that wasn't working. I grabbed a piece of wax paper and that wasn't working. I was just having all kinds of struggles, but eventually I was able to press it down and cover the bottom of the pan. And then I went and I cut off little strips of the guava paste And this is what I had left over. I'm just setting this aside for my barbecued guava and mango salmon. And so this is going to be like a sandwich texture. You're going to take what's left of the mixture and you're going to put it across the top of the guava pieces and just try to spread it out the best you can. And there you go. I'm sitting here going, okay, what do I say now? Anyway, so this is what it will end up looking like, and then it's ready to go into the oven at 350 for about 40 minutes. And this is what it's going to look like when it comes out. You got to let it cool. If you try to cut it too soon, it's just going to fall apart. But anyway, this is absolutely the best cake ever. I would say it's a cross between if you've ever had like one of those Kentucky butter cakes or Paula Deen's ooey gooey buttery cake. That's the absolute best. But if you mix that with a ribbon of guava paste going through it, it's absolutely the most delicious thing you'll ever taste. It's so good. And here I am trying to cut a piece while holding my camera phone, and it was delicious though. So I hope you give this a try. I'll leave the recipe in the description below. And I hope y'all are doing well. I hope y'all have an awesome day. Thank you so much for stopping by. God bless.